Picture this scenario, because I guarantee it has happened to you in the last month. It is 5:30 p.m. on a Friday. You have just finished the 45-hour work week. You're physically present in your car or on the train, but your brain, completely fried. You're driving home, and the idea of cooking a meal seems about as appealing as climbing Mount Everest. So you pull up the delivery app. You order Thai food or pizza or burgers that cost you $45 with the tip and fees. Then you get home. You crack open a beer or pour a glass of wine just to take the edge off, and you sink into the couch to binge a show you don't even really like, just to turn your brain off. You tell yourself, I earned this. I worked hard all week. But what if I told you that mathematically, you didn't just spend $45? What if I told you that the pizza, the gas you burned driving home, the work shirt hanging in your closet, and the stress that forced you to order that food in the first place are all hidden taxes, silently reducing your salary by nearly 60%. You think you were selling your time for $28 an hour, but after we do the forensic accounting on your life, the math proves you might actually be working for less than $6 an hour. My name is Khan, and look, I'll be honest, I spend probably way too much time obsessing over the invisible equations that quietly govern our financial lives and keep us running on hamster wheels that are moving just slightly faster than we can run. If you are someone who looks at their paycheck and genuinely wonders where it all went, or if you feel like you are working harder than ever, but your savings account is basically flat, hit that subscribe button right now. Because today, we're not talking about investing or side hustles, we're talking about an accounting fraud. Not one committed by a corporation, one you are unknowingly committing against yourself every single time you celebrate a salary number without reading the fine print. We are going to calculate your real hourly wage. And I have to warn you, once you see this number, you will never look at a price tag the same way again. Here's the lie. The one that gets planted in our heads from the moment we enter the workforce. We're told that our worth is measured by our annual salary. If you make $60,000 a year, that's roughly $28 an hour. That sounds okay. That sounds respectable. That sounds like you're doing all right. But think about it like a business for a second. If a small restaurant pulls in $1 million a year in sales, amazing, right? Crushing it. Except if that same restaurant is spending $1 million on rent and ingredients and staff, they are not crushing anything. They're broke. They're going under. And yet, when it comes to our own money, we only ever look at what's coming in. Nobody looks at what's going out just to generate that income in the first place. And that is exactly where the whole thing falls apart. All right, so let's actually do this. Let's take a regular guy. Let's call him John. And let's be brutally honest about his finances. John makes $28 an hour, $60,000 a year. Solid, respectable. Except, before he sees a single dollar of that, taxes hit. Income tax, social contributions, whatever applies where you live. That $28 is already down to roughly $21. Okay, we all know that part. But now, here's where it gets interesting. John has to get to work somehow. Fuel, car wear and tear, insurance, just to reach the building where he earns money. That's probably $3,000 to $3,500 a year, just gone. Then he needs to look professional. Clothes, grooming, another expense that would literally not exist without the job. Then there's what I call the convenience tax. And this one is sneaky. Because John is locked in an office all day, he grabs coffee every morning just to survive until lunch. He buys lunch out 3 times a week because meal prepping at 6 a.m. just isn't happening. He orders dinner twice a week because by the time he gets home, cooking feels impossible. None of these costs would exist without the job. And then, and this is the one people never want to admit, is decompression spending. The money John spends just recovering from work. The impulse online orders at midnight. The weekend trip booked not for adventure, but out of pure desperation to escape. The random stuff purchased just to feel something other than exhausted. Add all of that up, honestly, and John is not taking home $60,000. His real net income is somewhere closer to $34,000. But we're only halfway through the equation because your real wage is money divided by time. And just like we mess up the money side, we completely butcher the time side too. HR says John works 40 hours a week. Sure, on paper. But John wakes up 40 minutes early every single morning to get ready for work. That time exists because of the job. He commutes 35 minutes each way, unpaid. His lunch break is technically his own time, except he can't go home. He can't actually rest. He's just waiting, held in place by the office. Then he drives home. Then he spends another 30 minutes just decompressing, staring at nothing, venting about his day, slowly becoming a human being again. And then there's the stuff that doesn't even look like work. Checking emails after dinner, lying awake thinking about a deadline, mentally writing an email in the shower. None of that gets counted. None of that gets paid. Be honest about all of it, and John is not working 40 hours. He's giving somewhere around 55 to 58 hours to his job. So now, let's put it all together. Real net income, $34,000. Real annual hours, roughly 2,900. Punch that into a calculator. That $28 an hour? Gone. John is making around $11, maybe $9. In some cities, in some industries, after all the costs, he is mathematically making less per hour than someone working a basic entry-level job who goes home and genuinely leaves work at work. That is the scam. That is the thing nobody puts in the job offer. You are working in a high-effort, low-margin arrangement, and you are the one absorbing every single cost. Look, I know how this feels right now. You're probably sitting there like, "Great, Con, I'm underpaid and exhausted. Thanks so much." But here is why this math actually matters. Once you know your real hourly wage, like actually know it, the way you see every single purchase changes completely. Let's say your real wage works out to $9 an hour. You're in a store and you see something for $90. Your brain needs to stop reading that as $90. That is 10 hours of your life. 10 hours of traffic and meetings and inbox stress and missed evenings. Is whatever's on that shelf worth 10 hours of that? Almost never. The answer is almost never yes. And this same thinking exposes the golden handcuffs trap. You get promoted. You get an extra $7,000 a year. Amazing, right? Except now you're staying late, so you order food every night. You need better clothes. Your stress doubles, so your decompression spending doubles. And when you do the real math, your actual hourly wage went down. You got a raise and somehow ended up poorer. Here's the uncomfortable part. This is kind of the point of the whole setup. The system works best when you are too tired to run these numbers, when you feel like you are earning decent money. So you upgrade the apartment, finance the car, extend the lifestyle, and now you need the job even more just to maintain everything you bought to make the job bearable. It's a loop, and it's a really well-designed one. So, what do you actually do with this? And I want to be clear, I am not about to tell you to quit your job and figure it out. That is not realistic for most people, and honestly, it's not even necessary. The move is simpler than that. You start treating your real hourly wage as your actual measure of success, not your salary, your efficiency. Can you work from home 2 or 3 days a week? You just cut your commute cost and reclaimed your hours without asking for a single dollar more. Can you meal prep on Sunday? Your convenience spending drops immediately. Can you genuinely stop caring what your colleagues think of your clothes? Every single work expense you cut is money you keep and time you get back. And the bigger shift? Start thinking of your life like a business. A smart business doesn't just try to make more money, it tries to keep more of what it makes. Someone earning $40,000, spending $16,000, working 32 hours a week, a genuinely better position than someone earning $95,000, spending $90,000, and working 65 hours a week. One of those people is winning, and it might not be the one you think. So, here's what I want you to actually do. Not tomorrow, this Sunday, when your head is clear. Sit down and run the real numbers. Your commute cost, your work clothes, your convenience spending, your decompression spending. Divide what's left by the real hours you give to your job every single week. Write that number down. Put it somewhere you'll see it before you spend money. And next time you're about to buy something, just ask yourself one question. Is this worth the hours it costs me? That one habit will do more for your finances than any budgeting app or savings trick ever could. Because here's the truth. Time is the one thing you can't make more of. Every hour you sell, it's gone. So make sure you know exactly what you're selling it for. And make sure the price is actually worth it. If this hit different, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And I'll see you in the next one.